So back in 2021, the world of project management got a pretty huge shakeup with the release of the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a minor update. It was a total rethink of how we should be running projects. So what exactly changed? And why should you care? Well, let's dive in and demystify this big shift from rigid processes to flexible principles.
Here's what we're going to do. We'll start by looking at the why, the big reason behind this fundamental shift. Then we'll break down the new building blocks, the guiding principles and the performance domains. After that, we are going to zero in on what might be the single most important concept in the whole thing, tailoring. And finally, we'll put it all together to see how this new system actually delivers value in the real world.
Okay, first things first, why did they even need to make such a big change? I mean, what was wrong with the old way? To really get PMBOK 7, you've got to understand the why, the driving forces that push the industry towards a much more adaptable framework.
This slide just nails the evolution. Think of PMBOK 6 like a super detailed cookbook. You had to follow very specific recipes. These were your processes, with exact inputs and outputs. PMBOK 7? It's way more like a chef's guiding philosophy. It gives you the core principles to create an amazing meal in any kitchen, or, for any project.
And, this didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was a direct result of feedback from project managers all over the world. People needed a guide that was less rigid, more adaptable. The goal was to create a framework that could work for any kind of project, whether you're running a traditional waterfall project, something agile, or a hybrid of the two.
All right, so let's dig into the foundation of this new philosophy, the 12 guiding principles. If the old way was all about what steps to take, these principles are all about how you should be thinking and acting to guide your project to a successful finish.
Okay, so this first batch of principles, it's really all about people. It's about being a respectful steward of the project, taking ownership and being responsible. It's about creating a team that actually wants to collaborate, and you'll see this one pop up again and again, always focus on value. It's a massive shift from just managing a to-do list to actually leading people and keeping stakeholders engaged. Now, this next group of principles gets into the nitty-gritty of modern projects. They're all about being smart and adaptable. You see critical ideas here like tailor based on context, and we're going to talk a lot more about that one in a bit. It's also about having the skills to navigate complexity, because, let's be real, projects almost never go exactly according to plan. It's about seeing change not as a problem, but as an opportunity.
Right, so we've got the how down with the principles. Now, what about the what? What are the areas we need to focus on? That's where the performance domains come in. These are the key zones where you'll apply those principles to get things done.
And the word to remember here is related. These domains aren't separate steps you do one after the other. No way. You have to think of them as an interconnected system. They all overlap, they all influence each other, all the time, through the entire life of the project. So here they are, the 8 domains. They cover the whole shebang, from stakeholders and the team, all the way to planning, delivery, and even dealing with uncertainty. And for those of you who know the old PMBOK, these 8 domains replace those 10 knowledge areas you might remember. It's just a more connected way of looking at all the work that needs to happen.
Okay, we've now arrived at what is, and I am not exaggerating, the single most important concept in all of PMBOK 7. Seriously, if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, please make it this: tailoring.
Here's the deal. PMBOK 7 is not a rule book. It's not one size fits all. It actually requires you, the project manager, to deliberately adapt everything, your approach, your rules, your processes, to perfectly fit the unique context of your project. It's giving you the power to stop asking, what am I supposed to do, and start asking, what's actually going to work best here? And I absolutely love this note from our source material. They're not being subtle here, are they? They're basically shouting, this has to run in your blood, because it is that important. It's the engine that makes this entire principle-based framework actually work. So understanding tailoring is crucial, not just for doing your job well, but especially if you're planning on getting certified. Let's make this super practical. Take a look at this classic exam-style question. When you see that key phrase, deliberate adaptation to make them more suitable, a big flashing light should go off in your head. What are we talking about? We're talking about the core definition we just covered. The answer, of course, is E, tailoring.
All right, time for the grand finale. Let's put all the pieces together. We've got our guiding principles, we've got our performance domains, and we have this critical idea of tailoring. So how do they all connect to create a system that actually delivers value?
This graphic is fantastic. It pulls the whole system together in one picture. Now, don't worry about reading every single word on the slide itself. Let's just focus on the flow it shows, because it visualizes everything we've been talking about. We'll break it down into its 3 key parts. So right at the top, you've got the 12 principles. Think of these as your North Star. They're the how. They guide every single action, decision, and behavior you and your team make throughout the entire project. Then, in the center, you have the 8 performance domains. This is the what. This is the arena where all the work gets done. It's here that you apply those guiding principles to everything from how you work with your team to how you handle risks. And then, wrapping around the entire thing is tailoring. This is the magic ingredient. This is what adapts that universal framework to your project's specific reality, its unique culture, its environment, everything. Tailoring is what makes sure your approach is a perfect fit for the job at hand. And when you zoom out, it all comes back to one simple goal. The whole point of PMBOK 7 is to empower you, the project manager, with a flexible, principle-based toolkit that focuses on what truly matters: delivering value. It's about achieving great outcomes, not just checking off a bunch of tasks. So, as we wrap this up, this big shift in PMBOK 7 really leaves us with one powerful question to think about. We're moving away from simply asking, are we doing this project the right way? Instead, it pushes us to ask something much, much deeper. Are we doing the right project in the first place? And that's a huge change in perspective. So the question for you is, how is that going to change the way you approach your next project?